I don't know what your week has been like. Some of you may have walked in here with heavy hearts. Some of you may have walked in here with just joyful hearts, but wherever you are in that spectrum of feeling, my prayer is that just for this moment, as we worship God together, that we can put that aside and simply allow His presence and His blessing in our life today. Is that all right? A church member from First Service added me on their Instagram this week. I told him he was not going to be named, Richard, but he added me, and while I was looking through his Instagram posts, I came across, you love it when these preachers say, I came across this channel on TV. Really? You went to that channel. So I was scrolling through my Instagram, I came across, I really did. I came across a filter that was called catfish. Now, no judging, but those of you who know what catfish filter is, raise your hand. Okay? All right, no judging. Like I did not know until I was preparing for this message and until I was added on Instagram. So to those of you who don't know what the catfish filter is, it's okay. You have not lost anything. Okay? But the catfish filter is one of those filters that when you take a selfie or a picture of yourself with this filter on, I see my young people already even going to Instagram and doing, it transforms you. Like it totally changes how you look. And let me just tell you, when I did it, I was like, oh, okay. Hello, Mark Sigue, like, wow. And it was totally transforming. I don't even have to look for the fountain of youth. Like the hair was even better than Ben. Like it was, it was just there. And the skin was so smooth. Like I was, wow, And it just creates this stark difference and changes who you really are into somebody who you're not cosmetologically. I struggled with that word all this week. In 1 Corinthians 13, Paul talks us about this issue of the Christian catfish filter. Now, he didn't use exactly those words, although Instagram makes it look like it is a new filter. This makeup practice was already existing in the first century. The Corinthian church was trying to be somebody who they were not. And we still practice that in our Christianity today. In this chapter, Paul is pointing out how a church can portray the image that it functions properly, but at the same time is not on the path that God has set it to be. If church members do Christian things like community service, Sabbath school, personal ministry, feed the homeless, or go on mission trips, and these acts are not done out of genuine love for others, and then on top of that, not having the motive of glorifying Jesus Christ, then we are wasting our time. Paul wants us to realize that without love, God doesn't care what we do for Him. Love is the only genuine act when it comes to serving the Lord. And this is really deep because we go about life, society, the world today puts us in a situation where it's so focused on our actions. If we do good, then we're good. If we do bad, then we're bad. But the challenge it becomes is we are basing our journey with Jesus on our actions. See, the difference is, and you'll hear me repeating this a couple of times today, is that when we do our actions to qualify salvation, that's the wrong approach. The approach ought to be we do our actions because God has already given us that salvation. And the least we can do is do good. See, when you have that mindset, it changes the perspective, it changes what you do. Here's the fact, friends. We are nothing without the love of God. 1 Corinthians 13, 1-3, and this is really, chapter 13 is really where we will spend some time this morning. We may speak in different languages of people or even angels. Can you imagine speaking like that of an angel? But if we do not have love, we are only a noisy bell and a crashing cymbal. We may have the gift of prophecy, but if we do not have love, we are a crashing cymbal. Sermon title for this morning's message is, What's Good About a Clanging Cymbal? We may understand that when we do things, we do it for the good of ourselves and for others. But if it's missing that aspect of love, it's really nothing. Here's the fact, friends. We are nothing without the love of God. Do you want to go about life and be nothing? I know I don't. I don't. And so here in Paul's chapter, he's reminding us of where that source of something, of being someone, is coming from. There's a story about this little boy. He would stand outside a general store, and every time he would pass by and see this rocking horse, he would stand there and just imagine himself riding that rocking horse. He wanted that rocking horse so bad. He began to say, if only I had the rocking horse, I would have everything I've ever wanted in the world. That rocking horse had a bright red mane, blue eyes, and was gold all over with purple spots. The boy could see that when the sun hit the horse's stirrups, she would be dazzling with him riding it. But the boy's family was poor. And although they knew he wanted that rocking horse so bad, they could not afford it. Yet one birthday morning, he woke up and there was the rocking horse at the foot of his bed. He couldn't believe that his dreams had come true. And so he got on this rocking horse and began to rock it. And just as he imagined, it was a beautiful experience for him. Except a terrible thing happened. Not too long after he started riding it, you got it, the rocking horse broke and split into pieces. The wood was rotten. The whole thing was put together with spit and wax. You see, whenever we see something bright, shining, perfect, seemingly all gold, purple spots, people's vacation, people's well-decorated living room, well-cleaned shoe, best-looking bag, suits, dress, scarf, faces, and all these bling, we think that that is the goal. No, nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. God is a God of everything. God is a God who pours everything. But the difference is when you have everything, but you don't have the love of God in you, you are nothing. That's really the fact. Paul wrote this chapter to the Corinthian church because he wanted to show us that what really lies beneath is what matters. Since the Corinthians were having problems unifying the church, they tried to sustain it with golden things and purple spots, such as speaking in tongues, prophecy, and knowledge. They had hoped that the manifestation of the spiritual gifts would prove to the citizens of Corinth and to their own church members that God was truly alive and at work in their own world. Hear me out, friends. The church had the fruits of the Spirit. Just because it feels like church, just because it sounds like church, just because we look like church does not necessarily mean we are church without the love of God. I don't think you heard me, see? Because we can be all of this. We can look like it, we can sound like it, we can feel it, and we can project it. If we do not have the love of God, we are nothing. So my question to you this morning is, how's that love of God in you? Are people experiencing it? Are people feeling it when they're in your presence? Are people seeing it when they watch you? What kind of love is coming out of you when they are around you? Because if it is not the genuine love of God, then we are nothing. Paul portrayed the significance of what our Christian walk might look like. He presents us with this hypothetical situation of an extra human ability of speaking in tongues like that of an angel. And yet, without the love, the genuine love of God, we're simply a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. Back in the Philippines, we have this big instrument called the Kolintang. And the Kolintang is basically a large gong or several gongs of different sizes. It can be used as an instrument. It can be used to keep the rhythm or the beat of a dance, or call for lunchtime or dinner time. That last purpose really was what I enjoyed most of this gong. And I still do. Whenever I hear that gong, it's like eating time. We can do many things for God as individuals, as a church, but if we are not serving with the intention of sharing the love of Jesus Christ, or just living that love on a daily, on a moment-by-moment basis, we are nothing. Verse 4, chapter 13, verse 4, Paul began by saying, love suffers long. Love, see, I think when we go over this passage, we forget that word suffer. We miss, for some reason, we miss the word suffer in love definition. And here's why. I mean, it took me a few weeks or almost a month actually to really be willing to preach this sermon, because it's hard for me to preach a sermon that I have not preached to myself yet. And here was the reality that I was experiencing in the preparation of this sermon. I have more patience for my former pet than I have for my family. Before Marco, my son, Marifel and I had a dog, a beagle. And we got this dog because during that time I traveled a lot and wanted to make sure that, there was extra security when somebody would ring the doorbell or would knock on the door, and would make sure that, there was some muscle in the house to protect my wife, while I was away. Well, in just the first day or so, when somebody would knock or ring the doorbell, our dog would hide behind Marifel and won't do a thing, really. And matter of fact, what this dog was really good at, and we were so creative with our dog's name, we called him Doggy Dog. So we went to this pet hospital, and they looked, Doggy Dog, like as if we really made a mistake in filling up that form, as we were visiting. But one of the best talents Doggy Dog would do was to eat. Now you know why this was my dog, right? Like, we were late. We were connecting. But the favorite food of Doggy Dog was any food that was in the trash. Not his dog food, not the other foods that were, at the table. Or his favorite food were anything that was in the trash. So from time to time, when we would go to work or would we be away, and when we come back, he has a talent of decorating the entire house with all the trash and all the food that he thought was part of the house decoration. And as we would come home and see all of this, all we could do was say, "Oh, Doggy Dog," and would start cleaning. He would mess the couch, he would mess our bed, and all we would say, "Oh, Doggy Dog," and 2 a.m., I'm vacuuming that bed and trying to suck out every liquid or anything that's on there. And yet, when somebody in my family makes a wrong decision, and something happens negative, and say, "That's what you get. That's because that was your choice." My patience, my love, for some reason, is missing the suffering, the long-suffering part. So my question to you is, can we even call ourselves Christian when the long-suffering is missing in our own life? Because we are really nothing. That's what Paul is saying. Don't look at me like I'm coming at you sideways. No, this is Paul saying. Yeah, he came at me sideways. I was like, okay, I got to receive this, right? You see, we find ourselves easily looking at the Corinthian people and see them through the lens of the past. They were bad. They did not do what they were supposed to do. But really, how many of us have not called, texted, visited, or even said hello to our own blood brother or sister or parents or children over some ridiculous argument and misunderstanding that has happened several months ago or during Thanksgiving? How are we different than the Corinthian people? In verse 5, Paul says, love is not rude. Okay. It only takes me that line at Walmart to really test this kind of love. Richard Pratt says, at the heart of rudeness is a disregard for the social customs that others have adopted. Hello, pandemic? Our preferences, our opinions, our practices tell someone the opposite of what they prefer. And all of a sudden, the rudeness is all over the place. See, we continue down to verse 7, and then we see Paul saying that love is also patient and accepts all things. Again, we read through these passages over time, and we keep missing what it's really asking us to do, because it doesn't say, only be patient to those who are patient with you. Only be patient to those who will give you a gift come Christmas. Only be patient with people who will do something good to you in return. It's saying, do patience and love to people who are not even going to do a thing back to you. How are we in our genuine love for others? Look, I've done it. How is it that we are so patient with our pets, even when they mess up, but do not have that patience for fellow human beings? And so here we are asking ourselves the question today as individuals and as a church, where are we in our love meter? Are God's children just a show-off? Just showing it on one of the days of the week, and as soon as we're out of here, a whole different kind of reality is showing? How are we in our love meter for our own family? How are we in our love meter for the very individuals that drive us insane? I want to urge you this morning to get your life right with God. If you call yourself Christian, if I dare call myself Christian, we need to make sure that we truly show the love of Christ to everybody we meet, in every relationship we have, and in every connection that we make. For John 15:13-14, Jesus said, the greatest love a person has shown is the one where he died for his friends. Now let me tell you something. When I first saw Marifel, I fell in love just like that. Just like that. I mean, it helped that there was competition that I knew of, because it was like, okay, game on. Let's go. Let's go. Right? And I loved her so much. I continued to do so. And I thought that was the best kind of love I could ever give. I mean, I tried to convince her that I really loved her. She was like, whatever. And I was like, this is it. This is the best kind of love that Mark Sigue can give, until my son was born. I'm like, uh-oh, what is this? Like I love my boy more than my wife? What? How? Because you come at my boy, you're coming at me. Even if it's Marifel. Right? And that's the thing. We think we know what love really is. You know, we give gifts. We do events. We go places. We make memories. But unless the love is genuine, that is not real love. Talk to couples. They can keep saying, I love you to each other all day long. But if it does not show that genuine desire to really love each other, it's nothing. It's nothing. Words become nothing. The act of obedience which leads to receiving eternal life is to believe in Jesus Christ, in our Lord and Savior, because He is the one who truly gives us love. It doesn't come from us. We don't make it up. We don't do that stuff. It is given to us, and therefore we then share it to others. Again, my question is, how is your love meter today? Regardless of how fabulous we can look on our Instagram pages, if the real version of us does not have these characteristics of love, we are just a clashing and clanging cymbal. Annoying, irritating, and definitely not helping to further God's kingdom here on earth. Because here's the thing. I'm a little biased because recently I've started trying to learn a drum set. So usually, if you have sensitive ears, disclaimer, or if you need to turn down any apparatus, I'm about to bang the cymbal really loud. Just letting you know. So, if, for example, all we do all day, if I'm trying to learn the drum set, and this is why the drum set has never visited my home. I value my home, peace. But if all day long, this is all that's going on, and we're just going at it, I'm trying to have a conversation, and it's just going over and over and over again. What is the point of this cymbal? Nothing. Why does it even exist in an orchestra? Why is it even in a marching band? Why is it even in a concert band? Or why is it even part of a drum set? I was told that a cymbal is good for transitions. I was told that a cymbal is good in highlighting great moments. I was told that a cymbal is really one of those instruments that enhances the experience. Well, that was not an enhancing experience that we just had, right? So what makes the difference between that banging, clanging cymbal to a cymbal that go, if you're a drummer and you're good at this, don't judge me. I'm learning. Even you online. Now, I know some of you don't still appreciate that, and we'll keep it at that. But that's much better than transitioning that just banging, clanging cymbal, yes? What's the difference? There was passion added to it. There was love mixed into it. There was rhythm added to it. If there's anything this world needs right now, it's a passionate kind of cymbal, not a clanging kind of cymbal. That's who we are. That's who we're called to be. That's why we are church. That's why we are family. That's why we call ourselves God's children, because we are that cymbal. What's good about clanging cymbals? It's the love of God. It's the passion that we get into. What's good about Mark Sigue? He better be God's love, not about how he does things, how he says things, and how he plays the drum really well or not. May your response when you're asked, how's your love meter with God, be that the love of Jesus in my heart is so strong, I can't help it but share that and show that to one another. It's Valentine's week, we get it. But may Paul's message be a sweeter reminder that true love is something we already have. True love is something we don't have to do a thing about. True love is simply mirroring, reflecting, and being like a Jesus in this world. Its beauty only manifests when it is expressed, shared, and showered over someone. So go, love one another with the love of God, because that is what the world needs today.